sales rep does a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, you work for a pharmaceutical company, and the product that you're promoting, you work to educate doctors, nurses, and sometimes maybe even in the patients. And the whole purpose of that is to help the doctors find the right patient for the medicine. Sometimes patients aren't always aware there's a certain medication out there, and neither are the doctors. Sometimes the doctors are too tired to read about new medication, so they rely on us. We are like the human cliff notes for new medications and existing medications, helping the doctor every single day find the right resources, the right information, so they can make the right diagnosis and right choices for their patients. So if you are passionate about helping people, helping patients, that is what a pharmaceutical sales rep does each and every day. Every day is different. Every day is exciting. I'm sure. I think sometimes people may think like, oh, you work for a pharmaceutical company, your medications are always going to be expensive, unaffordable. But I would disagree, because that person who says medicines are expensive, it seems expensive if you have no medical insurance. And what's worse than medicine being expensive is the overall healthcare. If you got really, really sick because you thought your medicine was too expensive and unaffordable, and then you wind up getting hospitalized, I guarantee you your hospitalization bill will be at least 100 times more expensive than the medication that you could have spent money on to take care of your health better. But no worries, pharmaceutical company always has programs to help patients get their medication. So I think that's the misunderstanding in general public. They think big pharma, big expensive price tag medication, we can't afford it. And that's absolutely not true. Typical day, every day is different. It really depends on my appointments. So depending what therapeutic area that you will support and what product, you can call on different type of specialists. So I call on specifically pulmonary, ENT doctors and allergy doctors. And I talk to them about specifically eosinophilic asthma and other rare medical conditions that there's a medicine for. Have different appointments, but what's great about being a pharmaceutical sales rep, you basically make your own schedule. And if something happens, your child got sick, you can rearrange your appointments and take care of your family. So what I think is great about my schedule, it's flexible. I begin and quit my day when I want to, as long as I get all the things that I need to get done. I put together programs, I put together medical in-services, and I basically do travel a lot. So depending on your geography, as a pharmaceutical sales rep, you could be flying, you could be driving, or taking public transportation. I work in New York City. I take the Long Island Railroad to work, and I city bike everywhere in Lower Manhattan. So that's how I roll. And you're so right, Yin, because I have so much freedom, it would be very, very hard for me as a pharmacist by training to work in a hospital 5 days a week, or even behind a community pharmacy, because each and every day I meet new and interesting people, and I learn so much from my customers, how I can help their patients. So if you're passionate about patients, helping people, and just learning and understanding about people and science, this is the best field to be in. Interesting. Most people don't see pharmaceutical sales as a career. It's not exactly a career that you can say, like, I'm going to study this to be this major to be a pharmaceutical sales rep. I'm actually a pharmacist by trade. I worked in retail and hospital for a combination of 8 years, and I didn't feel like I was able to connect and make a positive impact on patients. And I realized at the end of the day, your doctors are the ones that are going to be making the decision and educating the patients. And I felt that, you know what, that's where I need to be. I need to be right there next to them and help them make the decisions with the right information. So I explored into what this was about. And my friends were the ones that told me about pharmaceutical sales, that if you enjoy talking to people, you like learning, you like science, this is the perfect career. So you can study absolutely any career that interests you. It does require, at least a 4-year degree, but your career, it could be marketing, it could be sales. And in the end of the day is how can you take the information that you have and apply it in sales. So that is pretty much how I hope that was clear, how I got my path into sales. Don't need to have a science background, but it would definitely be helpful, because when you join the corporation, the pharmaceutical industry, they will provide the training for you. But some things that can't be trained and some things that are innate is just people skills. Are you a good public speaker? Are you shy? If you're shy, maybe this is not necessarily the right career, because you have to be brave. You do have to be assertive to get in front of your customers at times. Definitely somebody who is outgoing, somebody who likes to chat, somebody who's a good public speaker, somebody who likes to debate and negotiate. So I think somebody with all those personality traits that I just described, you have what we call transferable skills, because at the heart of it, you have the power of persuasion. And that is what we're trying to do with our customers, is that you have a lot of options. Why is this medication the best choice for your patient with this disease? And you would persuade them with evidence, clinical data. So having that ability to be comfortable speaking is very, very important. My basic day-to-day challenges is physicians don't always have time to sit down and speak. So sometimes it's just trying to convey or relay the information as quick and as succinct as possible. And when a physician says, I don't have time, you have to be creative and find ways to make time to speak to the provider, to provide that fair, balanced information. And there's some areas they don't let you go in. If you're not a patient, you're not allowed to be in the medical building or the hospital. So again, you know that there's important information the doctor needs. How are you going to overcome those barriers and get past? So another important trait, I would add to the bucket is somebody who has the ability to not take no for an answer and not be easily discouraged, because sometimes it can be very discouraging when you can't get face time with your provider. It's highly competitive. It is. It depends on the market. It depends on the therapeutic area. So there's a lot of different conditions behind that, but is it competitive? Yes, it is competitive, but it is also so rewarding as well. It's not largely, it's a good chunk, but you do get a base salary, and you, depending on your company, again, You could have quarterly bonus, and that's based on market sales growth. So there's a lot of variables there. Some quarters you'll make more money than others. Sometimes you may not make anything. You do have a base salary. There are a lot of great work perks, at least in my company that I work for. I do have a company car. I do pay a small fee, very reasonable, for gas and car utilization. A lot of great perks. I get to travel to meetings at least twice a year. And then in the pharmaceutical company, depending what company that you work for, there's opportunities outside of not just your state. There's opportunities outside your company. So when you work for a global company and you want to learn more about the sales market or promoting sales in another country, I have so much support within my company. I have to just put together a business plan and bring it to my manager and like, look, this is the career path. I see myself being the marketer of international sales. Oh, that's fabulous. So what's your game plan? So you have to build how you're going to make that happen. So you look for opportunities to network, to learn more. Because again, when you think about my background, I am a pharmacist. I'm heavy science. That's where my comfort zone is. But I realize that there's so many other opportunities that are incorporating science outside my New York, outside United States, that I am curious to learn about. Your company will be able to help support you to develop your career. So I think that's what I love about working in a pharmaceutical company, is I feel that I have lots of support to move in the direction that I want to. So sky's the limit. If you want to work in another country, you can have that opportunity, in a pharmaceutical company. Focus on, again, the transferable skills. If they're interested in debate, I would highly recommend, being a good debater makes you a good negotiator. That's what it is that if someone says, no, I don't think your product has any value, you wouldn't just say, okay, thanks. You would say, well, help me understand, why you think that. You want to understand the person. So I think being able to negotiate is really important. So having public speaking skills, being good at putting together presentations. I do put together presentations, so I need PowerPoint skills. I'm monitoring my sales, so I do utilize a lot of Excel sheets. So those are the things that I think are just very what we call transferable skill. It doesn't matter what company you're going to go to, those skills can go with you from position to position and from one country to another country. So those are very valuable skills. Wherever you see as a student, you can learn and pick up those skills. Do it. Customer service is what we do. So, dealing with tough customers is also a great way to build that certain skill sets of negotiation, persuasion, and your own confidence. Certification, that comes within the company. When you get employed by a pharmaceutical company, you're going to be hired to be the expert in a certain therapeutic area. So for me, it's respiratory, specifically asthma, specifically Church-Strauss, chronic rhinosinusitis with nasal polyps. I mean, I cover 4 different disease states, so I have to be well versed in understanding how the physician makes the diagnosis. What are those medical guidelines that the doctor needs to incorporate to making the proper assessment, and the product? What are the fair balance information my physician needs to know, along with that clinical data? But your company trains you for all that. And before you go out and meet your customers, you are certified by your own company. demand, a good seasoned, experienced one is absolutely. And the reason why I say that is when you think about the general population, I don't think this is a field that will anytime diminish in terms of the demand for pharmaceutical sales rep, because as we get older, people age and people will always succumb to diseases and illnesses. And we are living longer, and people are able to live longer because of medication. But how does that medication evolve? Because there are pharmaceutical companies that are investing in the research. And once the research is completed and it is FDA approved, is how do we get that information in front of the right people, the doctors, to make sure that their patients have access to that. So as long as there be disease and there's these medical conditions, there will always be a demand for pharmaceutical sales rep. There are internships available. I would say that if you are a high schooler and you're interested, look and do some research to see which pharmaceutical company is nearby and what kind of internship program. Sometimes these internship programs could be virtual based, and you can develop certain skills, and that would look really, really awesome on your resume. It's interesting. It's not always easy to get a job, but I think that being students and being young and being open to new ideas and being proactive in your own career development, look for those internships that are available for pharmaceutical companies, and that will be probably the most secure way to get an opportunity into pharmaceutical sales or any other career into pharma, because it is highly competitive. So many different people I've met in my company. So, I'm a former pharmacist. I've met former teachers. I have met a former chiropractor, a former chef. So a lot of different people in pharmaceutical sales, they all have different backgrounds. There is no one person with the same exact degree or experience, but that's what brings the uniqueness and that we bring to the table. So you just want to be able to be memorable when you're in front of your customers and in front of the interviewer. Is to convince a physician to dedicate time to speak with you and to be open-minded that your medication has value for the patients that they're seeing. So I think when it comes to overcoming these challenges of getting time to speak with the physicians to educate them, the person needs to have a very galvanizing personality. You want to be really interested and intrigued, what is it that she has to share with me that I need to know? So I think that having that galvanizing personality can definitely help with access barriers. Are you a good storyteller? Because part of engaging people is sometimes they're like, you're not interested, you're boring. I think sometimes the best way to approach people is being able to be a good storyteller and sell, but not in a salesy way, more and more in a conversational. So those are really skills that you develop over time. But if you're a good storyteller in general, I think that you can be very, very successful. I would say in the meantime is just really looking for opportunities to put yourself outside an uncomfortable space in sense of debates. Sometimes you avoid certain people because they are going to have a certain conversation and it's uncomfortable. And sometimes we have that with our customers too. So I think if you are not afraid and you're brave and you're able to put yourself out there and really, really, I think the best approach is what I call seek to understand. You can basically do anything. Just trying to understand, where is that other person coming from? Why do they think the way they do? What makes them tick? Why is it that they make these kind of decisions? Why do they say these things? If you can really understand what the root cause is, you're going to do awesome in sales. So anywhere, there's no specific course. It really has to do with you as a person, just wanting to really understand what makes them tick and how is that information helpful for me to help them better understand, the applications of this medication in this particular disease. This job became what attracted to me to this job was because the company does value, pharmaceutical industry actually values work-life balance. So whenever I feel a bit overwhelmed, I have that autonomy to rearrange my schedule, maybe leave work a little bit earlier, work from home, do the administrative stuff, and then go exercise. It's not a 9-to-5 job. So I can quit, call it a day at 2:00 and de-stress at the gym, and then go home and then work on the other administrative tasks, or build a better business plan, how to engage my customers for the next day. So I think that this job, because I have that flexibility, I don't really feel burnt out. Not like when I was a pharmacist, but that I felt very stressed out working in retail and hospital. Definitely consider pharmaceutical sales as a career, not a job. A job doesn't always have those opportunities to develop your skills, but sometimes it is really important to take certain jobs to develop a certain type of experience that helps you build a career. And in a pharmaceutical company, I think that the opportunities are just endless. If you are a person who wants to learn more about research, marketing, data, technology, it's all out there. The question is, where will you learn? So in terms of preparing for a career in pharmaceutical sales rep, I would just say, just study to you don't really have to have any specific major, but just enjoy what you're learning. But think about the big picture is, how will these courses, how will these classes help me to be a better public speaker, a better negotiator, so on and so forth, in a world of pharmaceutical sales. The more interesting you are, sometimes, when you're having a conversation with customers, because they're curious, you're curious to learn about them, and they're curious to learn about you as well. So I think that's what makes it so much fun when I'm having dialogue with my customers, because otherwise, on a day-to-day, I would never get that kind of an opportunity to speak with healthcare professionals and really understand them, aside from their degree. They're doctors, but to me, we're partners in helping pick the right medicine for patients. We're part of that decision-making process. So it is very, very rewarding.